are under arrest, my lord. Mace orders the stricken-down Chancellor Palpatine. As he issues this command, Anakin steps in to check in what all the fuss is about, and he sees Palpatine lying on the edge of the broken window high above the ground of Coruscant. Palpatine begs for his life. Anakin, I told you it would come to this. I was right. The Jedi... Before Palpatine can finish the sentence, Mace force pushes Anakin out of the room. Anakin, shocked at what's happened, rushes in to return and aid Palpatine, but just as he's about to take the first step, Mace shuts the door, locking Anakin out of the room. Anakin can't do anything. All he hears is a dreadful scream of pain as Mace drains all of Palpatine's energy, killing him instantly. Folks, what would have happened if Mace had stopped Anakin before Order 66 was executed and killed Palpatine? How would the Republic look once the Chancellor had been taken down by Master Windu? Well, that's what we'll be exploring on today's Bantha Stew What If, so strap in for another wild ride. With Palpatine's demise, a momentary calm settles over the Senate chamber, yet the echoes of the conflict still reverberate through its halls. Mace, assuming the temporary authority in the absence of Master Yoda, takes command of the Senate, guiding the Republic through the turbulent aftermath of this seismic shift in power. But amidst the triumph of Mace's justice, there is still a lingering shadow from Sidious, the fall of Anakin Skywalker from grace. Windu is bound by chains of duty and justice, and orders the apprehension and detainment of the fallen Skywalker. Mace starts a meeting with the entire Jedi Council, an emergency one, to discuss his finding with the Jedi. I'm concerned about Anakin, Mace says. I fear he has more sinister intent than we've thought in the past. We may have missed some of the darkness that clouds his Force presence. A strong accusation, that is, Yoda replies. Anakin is a bit misguided at times, but I can assure you his intentions have always been for the good of the galaxy, Obi-Wan says. But intentions do not always justify actions, Master Kenobi. I was there in the room with the incident for Sidious. He acted far too hesitantly in front of a Sith. He should have instantly obeyed my commands, and he should have stayed in the temple halls. His sympathy towards the Sith worries me. He was a close friend with the Chancellor, Plo adds. Makes sense. Maybe this Chancellor has influenced Skywalker to indulge in the dark side, Mace continues. With the Sith becoming more of a threat, this must not be taken lightly. Anakin must be dealt with immediately as a potential threat to the Republic. Mace, think through this clearly, you must, Yoda says. I agree, Mace. There's no need for such drastic action. It was just a thought, a temptation, Obi-Wan says. But what if he had acted? Mace replies. This is not just about the security of the Republic. It's about a message, and this single act about Skywalker will declare our stance on the dark side of the Force. We will not tolerate any act that leads to the dark side dominating the galaxy again. I cannot see the rise of the Sith Empire happen like it did in the past. It's for the betterment of democracy, Mace adds. Every Jedi in the Council sits in silence, wondering about what would happen if they followed through with banishing Anakin Skywalker. Is anyone here in favor of banishing Skywalker? Mace asks. Almost everyone in the council raises their hand. Anyone objecting? Nobody dares to raise their hand in this case, except for 3 people. Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Plo Koon. With a heavy heart and solemn duty, Anakin continues to be confined in the Jedi Temple Briggs. His once heroic stature is now marred by the stains of his betrayal and what he had done for Palpatine. Within the halls of the Jedi Temple, Anakin is confined to the brig, and he's a prisoner of his own inner demons as much as the restraints that bind him. The weight of his actions bear upon him, and the consequences of his choices in that moment echo through the corridors of his mind, prompting him to meditate. As days turn to weeks and weeks to months, the galaxy starts to heal from the wounds inflicted by the war and treachery. Under Mace Windu's steady guidance, the Jedi Order starts to rebuild, and to mend the schisms that have fractured the ranks and reaffirm their commitment to the light side of the Force. Yet even amidst this new era, the specter of darkness looms in the skies above Coruscant. Anakin Skywalker, once the chosen one destined to bring balance to the Force, now stands at a crossroads inside of that brig. He's imprisoned within those temple walls. His destiny continues to be a mystery, and his path nobody knows. As the whispers of betrayal and redemption echo through the halls of the temple, Mace grapples with the weight of his decision. In the heart of the galaxy, where the forces of dark and light collide, the fate of Anakin Skywalker and the future of the Order hangs precariously in the balance. As the temporary Chancellor, Mace steps forward and advocates for immediate action to restore stability to the Republic. He steps into the Senate, announcing himself like he will be stepping in as the emergency respondent to a crisis. The Sith uprising, led by Chancellor Palpatine, has been foiled. Anyone with connection to the dark side will be arrested and banished from the Republic. The attempt to dismantle the stability of the Jedi has left the Council and myself in disbelief. But we assure you, the Jedi's resolve has never been stronger. To ensure the security and continued sustainability of the Republic, the Jedi will take complete control over the military for the greater good of the galaxy. He then addresses Mas Amida, a prominent figure within the Senate, and urges for the call of an election without delay. He says that the Republic, battered and bruised by the machinations of the Sith and the infiltration of Palpatine's corruption, must seize this opportunity to chart a new course towards peace and prosperity. Amida, let us immediately call an election to pave the best path forward for the galaxy. With Palpatine gone, it is time to create the galaxy anew and end his frivolous wars of expansion. The Senate cheers for Windu outwardly, but there is still dissent among their ranks. Many view Mace's actions as an act of treason, condemning him for the death of Palpatine. However, amidst whispers of condemnation, there are also those who herald Mace as a hero, a beacon of hope for the Republic, just like the rest of the Jedi. The fact that he had called an election meant that he couldn't be trying to seize the reins of power, right? With Palpatine's grip on power severed, the possibility to end the long-fought war looms tantalizingly close. Mace is undeterred by the accusations that are brought forward by the Senate and remains steadfast in his belief that the galaxy can once again be united under peace and under the lead of the Jedi. Many put forward their names to succeed Palpatine. However, the candidate who emerges as the frontrunner is Mon Mothma, who campaigns on a platform of peace with the Separatists and power restored to the democratic process of the Republic. She's adored by those who have grown tired of the corporate war machine, and she's popular with citizens as well. With the support of like-minded senators, Mon Mothma emerges as a leading candidate for the position of Chancellor. The debate was never fully settled about Anakin's banishment from the Jedi Order. He continues to sit in the brig, and the conversation has been brought up many times, but because of Mace's duties with the Senate and the transition of power with the new election, the whole process kind of ground to a halt. Anakin, once the shining prodigy of the Jedi Order, is now thinking about the possibility of being expelled, or possibly even worse. He's accused of violating a direct order and attempting to help a Sith Lord, and Anakin is estranged from the very institution that he once swore to serve. Again, the debate rises, and it turns out that some still want Anakin to return.
Atrocious Skywalker's actions were, but under the influence of a powerful Sith Lord, he was. Charge him, the Republic will not. Believe in further education, I do. Vote to expel him, I will not,
Yoda states. Anakin was my apprentice. He has a good heart. He can just be easily... Obi-Wan pauses before continuing. Misguided sometimes. We must commit to his continued training and learning. He'll be a wiser man after this whole ordeal, Obi-Wan adds. Mace scoffs. I can't believe any of you are defending him. He tried to help a Sith Lord. He knew that Palpatine was a Sith too. Let's get rid of him and end our troubles. Mace rebuttals, throwing his arms up in the air in frustration. I think that I agree with Master Windu, Ki-Adi-Mundi states. I will be voting to excommunicate Skywalker just as I said that I would months ago. At this point, finally, the Masters officially vote, and it's a close one. However, ultimately, Windu's perspective dominates the Council, and Anakin is expelled. This time in a more narrow vote, the Council decrees Anakin's excommunication from the Order, a decision met with a tumult of conflicting emotions. Some had been looking to expel Anakin for years due to his disobedience for the Council and his unorthodox methods, along with some of the anger issues that had arisen during his time as a general. This was the perfect opportunity for them to finally have their way. When Anakin is informed of his excommunication by the Council, he is very relieved. Finally, he's liberated from the shackles of the oppressive ideology of the Jedi that had bound him for years. Honestly, This is a relief, he starts. Your dedication to dogma over the people of this galaxy is absurd. Palpatine was a democratically elected official, and you just decided to remove him from power. Maybe he's right. Maybe you are hypocrites, Anakin states as he's summoned before the council for this verdict. He hands his lightsaber to them harshly, slamming it on the floor as he leaves the council chambers. As he leaves, he takes one last look at the temple. So many memories, so many moments of growth. While the council had been foolish, the Jedi Order had given him so much to be grateful for, and it had shaped him into the very man that he was today. Just as he turned around to leave, Anakin hears a familiar voice. Anakin! He turns around and sees Obi-Wan running towards him. Goodbye, old friend. I'll miss you, my apprentice. Many of us will, he says. Anakin nods to his old master and embraces him. Thank you, master. I'll keep in touch. May the Force be with you. They then part ways, still respecting each other despite their differences. Now, Anakin is on a new path, and only time would dictate who he would become. Free from the shackles of the Order, Anakin could do whatever he wanted. While the galaxy is engulfed in turmoil, so is the small planet of Naboo. Padme Amidala, the steadfast senator and voice of reason within the Galactic Senate, faces a new chapter in her life as the prospect of motherhood enters her life. With the imminent arrival of her children, Padme realizes that her duties as mother must supersede the responsibilities of being a senator. So she reluctantly announces her intention to take leave from political duties, and she entrusts the mantle of Naboo's representation to an unexpected successor, Jar Jar Binks. Padme, you's a leaving? Why me? Jar Jar asks. I trust you the most, Jar Jar. I think you're the best person to represent Naboo. You have a good heart, and you've done it before. She replies. But Misa having no idea how to do politics, Jar Jar said. Misa the one who put that bombad Palpy into power. Padme places her hand on Jar Jar's shoulder to reassure him. I have my full faith in you, old friend, she tells him, smiling warmly. As news of Padme's decision spreads across Naboo, murmurs of discontent ripple through the population. Many question the wisdom of entrusting such a solemn duty to Jar Jar, whose eccentricities have often been the subject of ridicule and skepticism. Yet, with Padme's endorsement, Jar Jar takes his new role with determination, and he's ready to uphold the principles of democracy and justice that define Naboo in the Senate. Despite the initial skepticism by the population, Jar Jar's genuine sincerity begin to win over even the most skeptical of critics. Meanwhile, in the corridors of power on Coruscant, Anakin seizes the opportunity presented by Padme's absence from the Senate. He has a desire to make his mark on the political landscape, and he's still feeling disenfranchised with the Jedi and the politicians in general. Anakin then decides to join Jar Jar's advisor team, and his voice is one of discontent with the current administration. His contrary viewpoint is embraced by some, but most in Binks' inner circle disagree with him because of Padme's legacy. However, that would soon change. Critical of the pacifist policies that have defined Naboo's governance in recent years, Anakin advocates a far more assertive stance in the face of external threats. He condemns the government's perceived leniency towards the Jedi Order, whom he accuses of treason against Palpatine. This gains him the support of some prominent figures, including Captain Panaka, who had once served as the security detail for Padme when she was Queen of Naboo. Panaka fervently advocates for Anakin's policy of increasing security and his detestment for the Jedi Order's actions against Palpatine that had brought the galaxy into the utmost state of chaos. Even though Padme has some reservations about Anakin's newfound political ambitions, she can't deny the passion and conviction with which he expresses himself. As his campaign continues to unfold within the halls of the Senate, and as he gains more allies, tensions begin to brew between the husband and wife, and their different opinions cast a shadow over their once unshakable bond. When Jar Jar's term as senator is complete, Anakin emerges as a prominent candidate to challenge the incumbent, and he miraculously gains a significant amount of support within the Commonwealth sector where Naboo is, as he garners much support from those who once knew and loved Palpatine, because Naboo was his homeworld. As he had been from Naboo, many in the region still looked fondly upon Palpatine, and Anakin seemed to be a worthy successor to his legacy, especially in his critiques of the Jedi. In a surprising turn of events, Anakin emerges victorious in the senatorial race, his impassioned rhetoric striking a chord with the citizens of Naboo who are weary with the status quo. Yet, As he takes his seat in the chambers of the Galactic Senate, Padme watches with a wary eye, uncertain of the path that her husband is now treading on. As Anakin settles into his new role of senator, which provides many new challenges for him, his presence ignites a firestorm of debate and controversy within the Senate. He continues to be incredibly outspoken in his criticism of the Order, which draws a significant amount of challenges from his former comrades, and he calls for a more aggressive stance against the perceived enemies of the Republic that fuel dissident among his fellow senators. Caught in the crossfire of political intrigue and personal conflict, Padme finds herself torn between her loyalty to her husband and her steadfast commitment to the principles of preserving democracy and justice. Every day, the divide between them starts to grow slightly wider, and their once shared dreams of a brighter future are now deteriorating, clouded by the uncertainty of mistrust as Anakin descends deeper into the world of politics. In the halls of the Senate, Anakin now finds himself embroiled in a new type of conflict that he isn't exactly used to, one involving words and ideas. In the tumultuous aftermath of Chancellor Palpatine's downfall, Anakin's impassioned crusade against the Republic and against the Jedi Order starts to gain momentum as he speaks out against the new policies of Mon Mothma. One of these was in her demilitarization of the Republic. She decided to dismiss countless clones from service without even consenting them. While she did give them a solid pension and the rights of regular citizens, they were clones and they were soldiers. They should have had the right to choose, Anakin says. They should have been consulted before you fired them, Mon Mothma, he says as his Senate pod reaches into the Senate chambers. Many folks clap for Anakin. Others look at him with disdain. Mon Mothma retaliates, saying that she believes that this agenda is what is right for the galaxy. Anakin, I know that you care about your clones. I know that you want them to see the light of day and to have good, solid lives. I'm trying to give them that opportunity. I'm trying to ensure peace and security in the Republic. I want to do this in the best way possible. I want compromise, Mon Mothma says. Anakin scoffs at this. Compromise? No, you want to make the Republic weak, Mon Mothma. You want to make it die. You want to see all of the progress that we've made in this war, all of the progress and peace that we've built with the Separatists. You want to see it fall. And I won't stand for that. I advocate for the clones' right to choose, not for the government's right to take that away from them, and I always will. The clones are living beings as well. You should have let them choose whether or not they lived out the rest of their lives in service to the Republic. They're not just property, Mon Mothma. They're humans. They're people. I served with them, and I know that you would have treated them like I am advocating for if you had served with them too. Chancellor, Anakin says. Mon Mothma stares Anakin directly in the eyes, hurt by his words. However, she knows that he's just playing the game of politics, and she also knows that this would be a crippling blow to her popularity. Anakin receives accolades of praise from many senators after this, and the galaxy adores what he has to say about clones, especially the people who had grown to see them as more than just expendable assets. Anakin says that they are people with lives that should be honored, and the galaxy starts to see them that way as well. As Anakin's popularity soars, so too does his influence with the Senate chambers. When his videos are popularized on HoloX and on HoloTube, everybody sees what's going on, and he draws the direct attention of the public and the senators to the clones and the lingering threat posed by remnants of the Confederacy. While Palpatine's death had dealt a crippling blow to the Separatist cause and caused the corporate council to dissolve in disunity, embers of rebellion still brood amidst the ashes of war. There's no unifying figure to rally behind, so splinter cells end up taking up the cause of the Confederacy. The Republic military has little difficulty dealing with them one-on-one, but there are still so many of them, and peace had not been fully reached by the new government. In the face of this threat, Anakin calls for far more decisive action. I want war on this, Anakin says. I want to see a war on these terrorists and root out the remaining remnants of separatist ideology. I want to see these monsters lose all credibility in the eyes of the Republic, and the only way to do that is to take them out at the source. Let's call these people what they are, terrorists, and let's root them out and disgruntle them so that they will no longer face a threat to the unity of our great republic, Anakin says. Again, his impassioned pleas resonate with many senators who see Mon Mothma's handling of this situation as inadequate, as she wants to go the most pacifist route possible and tries negotiating with these cells, which often doesn't work. This leads to a growing chorus of people calling for her removal from office, and Anakin is eventually the one who gains the courage to offer it. I am calling for a vote of no confidence in this cowardly Chancellor, Anakin says. Mon Mothma looks at him. Cowardly? Anakin, you're the coward. You're the one who wants to jump straight to military action rather than actually sit down and try to figure out a solution to this problem. Padme would not be pleased, she says in front of the entire Senate, which goes quiet at these remarks. Anakin stares Mon Mothma dead in the eyes, and he then remarks these 3 words. I don't care. Then Anakin proceeds to say that he only wants to see what's good for the Republic and its citizens, and Mon Mothma was not what was the best direction for this Republic. He then, once again, calls for a vote of no confidence in her leadership. Mas Amedda, who still sits in the speaker position, obliges, and a vote is called to remove Mon Mothma from office. Padme, who's been a strong advocate for peace for years and one of Mon Mothma's staunchest supporters, watches in earnest heaviness as Anakin's rhetoric grows increasingly loud. Even though she sympathizes with his desire to protect and preserve the Republic, she can't get behind his desires to make it more militant. She believes that he will make it even more crazy than Palpatine had, and it's a path paved in blood for those who would oppose him. As tensions begin to surface in the Senate chambers, Anakin finds himself at the center of a storm of controversy with these votes. Senators left and right are hurling remarks about why Mon Mothma should be Chancellor and why she shouldn't be. Anakin is called a warmonger, and people are telling him that he's authoritarian. Bail Organa even takes the stage and gives an uncharacteristically, incredibly broad-stroking smear of Anakin, saying that he is going to turn the galaxy into an authoritarian dictatorship. This tarnishes some of Anakin's reputation as a hero of the Republic, and it starts to push the Senate more into uncertainty. But even though there's chaos, there's still some who cling to hope, some who believe that the galaxy might emerge from this darkness, especially Anakin Skywalker. He vehemently believes that his cause is the right one, and he has hope that things will be better. And as the galaxy trends on the brink of another conflict, its destiny is in the air. As the Republic starts trying to negotiate with these separatist cells under Mon Mothma, they only get worse, and the war on terror rhetoric from Skywalker intensifies, gaining even more support. The Republic is again in chaos, less so than it was during the Clone Wars, but even more than it had been in the first days of Mon Mothma's chancellorship. Her honeymoon period was over, and now Anakin had center stage. At the end of the day, the Senate decides to remove Chancellor Mon Mothma from power. The Senate passes his bill after a vivacious debate, and Mon Mothma is removed from office, paving the way for Anakin to ascend to the chancellorship. To Padme's dismay, her husband's triumph comes at a cost. Because of his actions and because of his viewpoints, they are having troubles. Anakin, why must you pursue this route? Why must you continue to soil the legacy that you created when you were fighting for the Republic? Padme asks him one day. Anakin looks at her, shooting her daggers in his glare. Fighting against what I stood for? No, Padme. I'm doing the opposite. I'm making the galaxy a better place, and I will continue to do so when I run for Chancellor. This shocks Padme. You're running for Chancellor? She says. Absolutely. Why wouldn't I? I have a vision for the galaxy, and I think that people want my vision. So, I'm gonna go for it. Padme looks at him and nods, thinking about her response. Many emotions percolate in her mind, but she ends up settling on 2 words. I see. You see? Anakin asks. You see my vision? You agree you're gonna support me? Padme again nods her head. I see you, Anakin, she says. I see. Anakin shakes his head in frustration. That doesn't answer my question, Padme. I'm running for Chancellor. Are you gonna support me or not? Padme doesn't respond, and Anakin throws his hands up in frustration. Fine, I'll just do it myself, I guess. He walks away, saddened by the fracture in their relationship. This dark obsession threatens to ruin what he had fought for against the Jedi and within the Republic. It threatens to ruin what motivates him the most, his sweet relationship with his wife. At the end of the day, Anakin ends up winning the hearts and minds of many across the galaxy. He ascends to the position of Chancellor, taking on the mantle with respect and dignity. He tells everyone in his speech one line that resonates throughout the HoloNet. I will bring peace, security, justice, and freedom to the Republic. There's a vivacious round of applause at these words, and Anakin smiles, looking forward to his stint as Chancellor. He's going to make the galaxy in his image, and to do so, he would need an ally. He promotes Wilhelm Tarkin to be his right-hand man, the Vice-Chancellor, a military man that he had grown to respect during his time in the war. Anakin decides that together they're going to dismantle the complex of the Jedi ruling the Republic military and instead create a complex that allows for clones and graduated officers from the Republic military to command, not the Jedi. This angers some of the Jedi, including Mace Windu, who is very vocal about his feelings to the rest of the Council. In addition, Padme decides that she believes Anakin is not the man that she once knew. She goes to the Jedi Council for help, requesting that they end up trying to intervene and help Anakin see where he's wrong. Specifically, she goes to Master Kenobi. Obi-Wan, I know that you're Anakin's friend. I know that you can get to him. He respects you still. Please let him know that the way he's taking is wrong. Please show him the path to peace again, Padme says. Obi-Wan frowns for a moment, stroking his beard. Yes, I too have been concerned by the path that my former apprentice is taking. I will bring this up with him later. For now, I will go talk to the Council, and we will establish a plan forward. After Obi-Wan goes and does this, he talks to the Council. He says what Padme had recounted to her, and tells him what he believes the right course of action to be. I believe that we should go talk to Anakin. Maybe he'll see our perspective. Maybe he'll understand. Mace Windu doesn't agree. No. He won't see our perspective. He never has. He's always been different. He's always wanted to play against the rules. He's never been by the book. This is no different. He is trying to spite us by taking our control of the military. No, I won't have it. We need to intervene directly. Yoda looks at Mace.
On a dangerous path this thought process will take us. We Jedi intervene in the Senate? We do not. Follow the will of the Force? We do.
Mace Windu looks at Master Yoda, his eyes intense. What if the will of the Force is telling us to take over the Senate, to remove Anakin from power, and to restore peace to the galaxy? Obi-Wan looks at him again, frowning. Are you sure you want peace, Master Windu? It sounds to me like you just want to consolidate control, like you want the Jedi Order to have more power. Mace looks back at him. You're starting to sound like Anakin now. I don't want more power. I just want the Jedi Order to thrive, and I want people to see that we are the light that this galaxy needs, he says. Obi-Wan frowns again. Maybe you are a little bit arrogant, Master Windu. When Anakin hears of this conversation broiling in the Jedi Council chambers, he's a little bit upset. He's shocked that his friends and family for years would want to turn against him so suddenly, especially Master Windu. He had known that Master Windu had never liked him and had always favored other Jedi, because Anakin wasn't one of the ones who would always adhere to his dogma. However, he'd thought that they would respect the democratic process. So, he continues his ambitions in the Senate. He continues to militarize the Republic and bring back many clones who had been forcibly dismissed that wanted to serve still. He amplifies the calls that are required for officers in the Republic academies, and the Republic military complex begins to build. Senators are pleased as they see Anakin's war on terror being successful, and the senators who disagree with him are very vocal about it. Anakin is dismayed when Padme gives a speech publicly about their private struggles, and how she disagreed with Anakin now for the galaxy to hear, and how she didn't believe in the stance that he was taking, especially since now that he's Chancellor, she had the opportunity to win back her Senate seat, and many folks like what she has to say. It's at this point that Obi-Wan goes to Anakin and asks him a question, wondering if he will join the Order again, and wondering if he will follow their convictions. Anakin, you know that this is the wrong way to go. I trained you better than that. You know that this is only going to lead to more war and conflict. You should adopt Mon Mothma's stance. You should allow the Jedi to be beacons of hope, diplomats. Anakin looks at Obi-Wan, frowning. The beacons of hope that led us to frivolous wars, the beacons of hope who couldn't sense Palpatine's control of the Senate, the beacons of hope who destroyed the Republic and put it on the brink of collapse? I don't think so. No, you Jedi can do whatever you want, spiritually speaking, but I will have no say in you being in charge of the military anymore. Obi-Wan frowns at his friend. I see how it is, Anakin. Well, this is disappointing, but I shall take this move back to the Council. He turns and leaves Anakin's office. Goodbye, old friend, he says respectfully. Goodbye, Master Kenobi, Anakin replies in turn, nodding his head as a gesture of respect. One of Anakin's biggest moves is that he appoints Admiral Yularen as the Chief of Staff while Tarkin serves as Vice Chancellor. And he also entrusts Captain Rex to be his loyal adjutant and the Chief Warrant Officer in charge of the entire military. Both of these folks are popular war heroes, so this is looked upon favorably by many in the military and as citizens. As Anakin's war effort continues to gain momentum, and as more and more separatist cells begin to surrender to him, Anakin finds himself buoyed by the overwhelming support of the public and the rally cry of many across the galaxy. However, there are still whispers of dissent lingering in the shadows, and Anakin hears them. Even Padme, Anakin's most steadfast ally, struggles to penetrate the walls of his newfound resolve. Though she pleads with him still to reconsider this path, her words fall on deaf ears. As the conflict escalates across the galaxy, Anakin still continues to be more popular, and the separatist cells surrender. However, there are new threats that begin to emerge as people such as Mace Windu start to question Anakin's authority even more. Tensions rise between the various factions of the Republic, including the Jedi and the Senate. After much debate in the Council, Mace Windu decides that he is going to go against the wishes of Obi-Wan and Yoda and actually interfere in galactic politics. After much debate, a significant portion of the Council agrees with Mace Windu and will not stand beside Obi-Wan and Yoda. However, the two of them refuse to get involved in the conflict, knowing that it will only escalate things. When Mace Windu shows up with 3 other Jedi at Anakin's door, he can't say that he is surprised. He hasn't been expecting their arrival, but he knows that something is up, and he knew that eventually Mace would come to seize power once again. It's just how he had always operated, and Anakin predicted it. As soon as the Jedi enter, though, and as soon as Mace thunders, "You are under arrest, Chancellor," Anakin turns around and smiles at him, and he says the exact same line that Palpatine did in Revenge of the Sith. "So, it's treason, then." This time, however, Anakin does not get up and ignite his lightsaber immediately to jump at them. Instead, he tells Tarkin, who's in his office at the moment, to get to safety, and he ignites his saber, preparing for the Jedi's attack. It's Mace Windu who attacks him first, leaning in with his powerful strikes and his Vapod form. The other Jedi as well attack Anakin, and he disarms them, pushing them to the side, using his immense mastery of the Force, which he had continued to use while he had been struggling to be the Chancellor. His Force training had been an outlet during politics, and he was still strong as the Chosen One. Maybe this was what the prophecy had been talking about all along. Anakin then uses his abilities, not the dark side, but he dives deep into his light side meditations and counters Mace's every strike. Because Anakin isn't leaning into the dark side, and as they dance as two master duelists, Mace Windu is at a significant disadvantage. His Vapod is not working. So, when Anakin goes and slices off his two hands and then points his saber at Mace Windu's throat, just like Mace did to Palpatine at the window of his office in Revenge of the Sith, Anakin is vindicated. He's won his fight, and he orders the shock troopers on Coruscant to come immediately and take these Jedi away into custody. Anakin Skywalker had won, and he had proven why he was meant to be Chancellor. Following these events, Anakin resumes his position as Chancellor. He gives a speech to the galaxy about how the Jedi had attempted to overthrow him, and this time he has actual justification. He says that he had done nothing wrong, he wasn't a Sith, and he wasn't trying to turn the galaxy into an authoritarian dictatorship. He simply believed in security. And this is applauded by all of the senators. Anakin then turns to his military advisors and tells them that they have done a fantastic job in aiding him and assisting him in creating a safer military for the galaxy while maintaining democratic principles that hold it together. More and more separatist cells continue to surrender, and Anakin is seen as a heroic figure. Because of the Jedi's attack on him, they retreat from Coruscant, going back to Tython. Obi-Wan and Yoda bid goodbye to Anakin, and once again, Obi-Wan hugs his old friend. "Goodbye again, Anakin. I'll miss you," he says.
"Miss you too, I will, Skywalker."
Yoda says, looking at Anakin in the eye. Anakin hugs the Green Master, saying that he appreciates how they had always been respectful, even though they had differing views on the galaxy. He watches as they leave, thinking about all of the things that those two Jedi had taught him, and how maybe the entire order wasn't so bad. But then he goes back to politics, and he ends up letting his term limit expire before he goes back to Naboo to continue to parent his young children. Padme Amidala, who saw the corruption of the Jedi following their altercation with Anakin, apologizes to her husband, saying that she was sorry that she had gone behind his back to try and encourage their acts. Anakin says that it's okay, he understands, and he knows that Padme is just passionate about the galaxy. In fact, he encourages her now that his term is done to run for the Chancellor position herself, because he knows that she would make a spectacular candidate for the galaxy to see. While they didn't always agree on political issues, one thing that they could agree on was their respect and love for each other as they parented the young children. Soon, perhaps, there would be a Skywalker dynasty, and maybe, just maybe, Padme would decide to run for Chancellor. Everything seems to settle down in the galaxy. Peace abounds. Tarkin, Yularen, and Rex maintain a strong military before Tarkin retires, and Yularen does as well. Things are going incredibly smoothly, and the new Chancellor ends up being Padme. She appoints Captain Panaka to be her chief of security, and again, she continues some of Anakin's policies, but she mixes them with Mon Mothma's, trying to make the galaxy an overall safer place to live, while still encouraging peace. The galaxy is prosperous under Padme, and both her and Anakin are remembered as figures who brought the galaxy back from the brink of chaos. The Jedi live in the shadows, reconnecting with the Force, and things begin to settle down. Finally, the Star Wars universe has some peace. Hey there folks, now's the time when we transition into the Ask Me Anything period where people from the Discord can ask questions and I will answer them at the end of videos. Today's question comes from, I can't say that name, Bantha Stew. Please tell me your recipe for making Bantha Stew. And so I had a couple of people comment after, yes, we need to know how to make Bantha Stew. And somebody asked if bison would be a good substitute for Bantha Stew. And then there was a little bit of a debate and all that jazz all about Bantha Stew. And so I was thinking to myself, can I reveal to the galaxy what the secret recipe for Bantha Stew is? Or should I keep it closely guarded? And I thought to myself, okay, the fans want it, and people want to hear what my recipe for Bantha Stew is, but I have to oblige the wishes of my family and keep the recipe for Bantha Stew secret. It's one of those secrets that cannot be released, because once it is unveiled to other people, they'll steal it, and they will make it far better than even I can. So, I'm going to keep the recipe for bantha stew to myself for now, but one day in the future maybe I'll write a cookbook, and in that cookbook I will sprinkle in the secret recipe for bantha stew while I'm drinking a glass of bantha brew. Thank you all for watching today's video. What would you think would go into the recipe of bantha stew? I'd love to hear your comments below and see if it matches up with my super secret recipe that has been passed down for generations in my family. Please comment below and let's see what you have to say. In addition, would you like to see a part 2? If so, please detail what you think would happen in that part 2 in the comments below, and I'll read them and see what I think. Again, thank you all for watching, and if you want to see your questions or possible what-if scenarios featured in a future video, I would highly recommend joining the Discord server. We're building a great community of Star Wars fans, and I would love to talk to each and every one of you about bantha stew, Star Wars, and just life in general. So please, swing by if you're interested, and we'll get in touch. I hope that everyone has an absolutely bantha-tacular rest of your day, and, as always, I hope that you've gotten your daily delicious dose of bantha stew.